Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Rollshambo. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going over not one, not two, but three insane Kizer knives. Thank you to Kizer for sending these my way, and because I don't want to waste any time, we're going to go ahead and get to the knives. Starting off with the Kaiser Gavl. This is a design from New Breed EDC, also known to the community as ultratech. He is a crazy knife designer. Another notable piece of work he's done was the New Breed EDC Clydesdale, and he has a certain flair, he has a certain touch, and this one is no different. On the outset, it might look like a simple folder design, but it's actually really well done. Burlap micarta on the handle scales with the brass bolster. It has a matching burlap micarta backspacer with the 3D milled titanium pocket clip. T8 hardware all around. You can tell that this was designed by a member of the community because the little details really pop on here, whether it's the burlap micarta scales and the matching backspacer or the titanium clip with the T8 hardware. These are all really nice features. Now, I wanted to check this one out purely for one reason, and that was this insanely light flipper tab. In fact, if you blink, you might miss it. But yeah, that is a flipper tab, and it barely sticks out. It has adequate jipping on the edge, and that makes it so that you just run your finger over the back and it snaps out. It's got one deployment option and one option only, and it is the showstopper. I actually really enjoy the fact that it's kind of like a hidden flipper tab, but it works really well. I feel like had that not had that certain level of jimping on that tab, it would have been a complete fail. But in this case, it's a complete win, and I really enjoy that. 154 cm on the blade, and it's great, guys. It's not a huge knife by any stretch, but I can get a full 4-finger grip on here, and the grip is comfortable due to this jimping on the spine of the blade, which is more than just a cursory amount. You can get a full thumb behind the spine of the blade for a nice saber-type grip. The reverse grip feels really good as well. Nothing crazy going on here. It's got shadow box steel liners, and it is, of course, a liner lock. The lockup on here, I'd say, is somewhere in the realm of about 30%, and it's locked up and locked out. No wiggle, no jiggle. Blade centering on this bad boy is perfect. And if you like flippers, but you like flippers that are done a little bit differently, this is definitely one worth checking out. By the way, I will make sure to link everything that I showed today down below, and it's only going to get crazier from here. Next up, we have a knife that I probably should have checked out a long time ago because they've done a million versions of this knife. This, of course, is the Kizer C01C, also known as the Kaiser Sheepdog, and it's a design by Sheepdog Knives, and they do a really good job. Now, this one is coming in with a new handle scale material, which is the denim micarta, and something that I think is really cool is when I pulled it out of the box, it came in one of these. This is a Kizer knife roll, and it's also denim. I actually have one already that I use pretty frequently to carry my knives around in. Yeah, there it is. There you go. As you can tell, it's got this loop on here so you can actually put whatever patch you want. It's up to you, but it does carry a decent amount of knives. So I'm not sure if this is just a promotional thing or if all of the denim micarta sheepdogs are going to come with this. But I've got to say, it's quite refreshing to have my knife appear in one of these and some extra storage options than it is a regular pouch. Shout out to Kizer for innovating on that level because that is actually a really nice combination. You have the denim micarta sheepdog, you've got the denim micarta knife roll. What's not to love there? But that's not it, guys. If you haven't checked out a Sheepdog before, you truly are missing out. And I know they've done flipper only versions. I know that they've done super premium versions. This one is kind of a nice in between because the denim micarta really does feel premium. And yes, it has patinaed a little bit with me handling it, with me taking pictures of it, so on and so forth. But I like it. Denim micarta is one of those micarta materials that always feels good. It does have a steel pocket clip, and it does feature an open back design for some extra weight relief. There's also internal milling. A 154 cm blade, single-sided captive pivot, and it's this nice cleaver sheep's foot style blade with just a little bit of belly so you can get into any creases or edges or seams really well. But also with this design, you could also have excellent ability to get into some draw cuts or even some pull cuts. It's going to be very utilitarian friendly. It is on the wider side as far as the blade profile is concerned, but I don't mind that at all. I think that the cutting geometry on here is, well, it's really, really good. Liner lock, of course, coming in at about 35% lockup, and yep, locked up, locked out, no wiggle, no jiggle. Blade centering is perfect as well. The clip is nice. It is a bent steel clip, but it has recessed screws and it's also inset into those scales. It has the little ski jump poking up here, but I don't really feel it in the hand. It is comfortable in the hand in both regular and in a reverse grip, although I don't know anybody that's actually reverse gripping their Sheepdog. If that's you, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to say that I don't understand why anyone would do that. And your eyes do not deceive you. There actually is lettering here on the pivot. It says, "Love it freely, take it easy." And I like that. It's a nice sentiment. It's a nice message. And I think that we should have more of that on our knives and our tools. You know, if you're going to put billboarding on my blades, put something inspirational on there. Why not? Why not? The action on here is really good. It's nice and fall shut and it's breaking in even better every single day. I like the cutouts here on the handle scales to add some extra depth. I think that had they found a way to contour this micarta, it would have been absolutely next level, and I would really like to see that in the future. Kaiser, if you're listening, can we have some contoured handle scales? Awesome. Thank you. The good news is that this has been one of Kaiser's most popular designs. So if you want it in a certain material, chances are they either already have it or will have it at some point. But if you haven't checked one of these Sheepdogs out yet, make sure you hop on that, because this is definitely one to get for your collection. Now, I promised you I'd save the most controversial for last. This is the Kaiser HRA. And I requested this one specifically because I actually really like the way that this knife is designed. This is a Mason Hayes design, who I think is a member of the community. I believe that this is one of those Kaiser community collaborations, and it's crazy, man, but it's crazy in ways that I actually like. I'm going to talk about what I enjoy about this knife, and then we'll talk about the things that people find to be controversial. And I want you guys to chime in the comments section down below and let me know, which side of the fence do you land on, because this knife polarizes people. I know I looked at the comment sections of other videos on this knife and they were polarizing. You either love it or you hate it. I actually really like it, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, we have beautiful contoured, in-depth titanium handle scales, single-sided captive pivot running on ceramic bearings, has a T8 pivot, T8 body screws, T8 lock bar insert. It's got a truly deep carry pocket clip, which is sandwiched between this, I guess we can call it a backspacer, and the handle scale. And oh yeah, both the clip side and the show side handle scales are milled out, so this is not heavy. What that means is that when a handle has depth like this, it tends to fit in the hands really well. And this one does. There's absolutely no hot spots for me with my medium to large size hands, and I really enjoy that. We have a little bit of extra milling here near the top. That's nice as well. And then of course, jimping on the spine of the blade. Speaking of that blade, it is S35VN, and some of you are going to be saying that this looks like an EMP/EDC something or other, or it looks like the Grant Gripper something or other. I'm here to tell you that if you can point at a blade shape and say that looks like these other 2 or 3 knives, chances are it's not copying anyone. It's just probably a common blade shape, and it's common for a reason. This is what I would like to call a straight edge razor blade shape. Some might call it a Warncliffe. Some might even call it a reverse Tanto, and I know some of you have an issue with that term. But I will say this, from a user perspective, this is really, really good for not only utilitarian purposes, but also for self-defense purposes. Now hear me out, because I know you're thinking that doesn't look like a dagger style blade. Why would you use that for self-defense? Have you ever heard of Michael Janich? Michael Janich designed the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. He's a personal defense expert that designs knives. He ran a test on different blade shapes to see which had the most cutting ability, which had the most brutal action when it came to cutting into things and cutting into people and self-defense in general. And you know what he found out? He found out that for every dagger style blade, a straight edge like this actually had way more cutting ability, because unlike with a blade that has a belly, the force is evenly distributed throughout the entirety of that blade. No matter what part you are in, you have more cutting power all the way across this blade than you ever do in something like a dagger style blade, which is meant for puncturing, or something like a sheep's foot style blade, which has a little bit of belly, or a drop point style blade that has belly. When it comes down to it, if it has a straight edge and of course a pokey stabby tip, it's actually going to be quite good for self-defense. Now, on the utility side of things, it's also going to be really good for those pull cuts and draw cuts, because it doesn't take much leveraging of the wrist to really get in there to cut things. That's nice. Let's talk about the action. The action is, well, it's a guillotine, and you got to be careful, because I almost cut my finger earlier doing this, but if you push on that lock bar and you move your thumb out of the way, it will fall and it will hit your thumb, which is what happened there. It is definitely smooth on the action, and it's getting better. It's breaking in a little bit every day. With this dark stonewash finish, do expect a break-in period within, I would say, a couple of days of regular use. That's nice. We have a full blade length fuller and a deployment hole, and I actually really like the shape of that deployment hole. Minimal billboarding here. It says Kizer on one side. It has the Mason Hayes logo on the other, and then right up here it says Holdra, and right up here it says S35VN. This is not that great in the blade to handle scale ratio category. So from the outset, looking at it like this, you'd be like, oh my gosh, look at how short that blade is. But in reality, the blade actually comes up a little bit more. It's just further out. It comes up almost perfectly with the edge of that backspacer. But even so, we're looking at that much handle scale left. And so those of you who are super OCD are looking at this like I'm absolutely bananas, saying that's way too little blade to handle scale ratio. It's absurd. Stop the tape. Stop recording. I can't buy a knife that has awful blade to handle scale ratio. Guys, I don't really care, and I'll tell you why. For one, I would much rather have a handle that is longer and easier to grip than perfect blade to handle scale ratio. Yes, symmetry is beautiful, but this is not a knife that's about symmetry at all. In fact, the only way that this one is symmetrical is like this from the back edge. Otherwise, there's no other symmetry to talk about. But that is going to bother some people. It does not bother me. What I care about getting more is good ergonomics. How does it fit in the hand? I care about good balance. Can I find a balance point on here easily? And the answer to that question is yes. The balance point is right about there where you'd be putting your index finger. And that's perfect, because that's exactly where I'm going to put my index finger. It means that I can index this knife pretty easily without too much issue. And I enjoy that. I like being able to handle my knives easily. And because there are a wealth of people who have bigger hands than other people, it's nice having a handle scale this big, because that means that it's going to accommodate more than just the people with the medium-sized hands and more than just the people with the large-sized hands. It's going to work for everybody. This is definitely enough blade length to get the job done for 90% of what most people will use a folding knife for. And so for that reason, again, I don't really care about the blade to handle scale ratio. The other parts that make this knife a bit polarizing is, for one, it has elements that remind people of the EMP-EDC, and I get it. I totally get it. Yes, it has a squared off rear flipper and it has a squared off front flipper. And do they work? Obviously, you just saw me do it. I don't really want to play the game of this looks like that, because when I first saw this, the knife that I actually thought that this looked like was kind of like a Brian Brown Jaeger M. The more I look at it, the more I see it, and these handle scales do look a little bit reminiscent of Vero Engineering, but it's not necessarily a dead accurate assumption either, because they do and then they don't. It's really unique, and I enjoy designs that push the boundaries of what is acceptable, and this is definitely one of those knives that does. But it's also under 150 bucks for a full titanium construction with T8 hardware, this really, really well done blade, and perfect action and lockup. I mean, this is one that I find to be extremely enjoyable. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. And more importantly, which one do you like the best? Do you prefer the Holdra? What about the denim Sheepdog? Or do you appreciate the stylish design on this one, the Kaiser Gavl? Let's have that discussion in the comment section down below. And if you want to watch more awesome knife and EDC content, make sure to click on the video that pops up next.